Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica. Thank you so much for clicking the link to watch today's video. Without further ado, let's get started with today's video. Now, the sound you hear is my washer. I'm so sorry, but I have a small window. I'm multitasking. It's Christmas Eve, so really I should not be cleaning, but I'm cleaning on Christmas Eve. And then I gotta wrap Luce's gifts. So my name's Veronica. If you guys don't know, I am a United States Air Force officer, specifically a Medical Service Corps officer, which means I basically work as a healthcare administrator in the medical group slash clinic. So basically the most highly requested thing that you guys wanted to know was how is it going to Meps as an officer? So again, excuse the noise. I'm going to talk really fast. Hopefully this isn't a 30-minute video because you guys know how I can be. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of insight, but I'm not going to be able to disclose every single detail just because of the nature of our examinations. But pretty much when you go to Meps, you only go to Meps if you're officially offered a position by the military or any type of Department of the Defense Service. So Air Force, Navy, Marines, all that stuff. When you go to Meps, ladies, you cannot have any fake nails. Now this is where I feel like my recruiter failed me. She did not warn me about nail polish. I had to take off all my nail polish when I got to the Meps station, and I went to the one in Oklahoma City. I was really annoyed because I was over here like scrubbing every single nail to make sure my nails were clean so they could look underneath them. I had just I think I got either a gel manicure or something on both my toenails and my nails. You must go with clean nails, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who wear nail polish. But essentially when you go, after you're selected a position, you have to go and get a physical. They examine you from top to bottom. There are times where you are in just your underwear and you are segregated based on male and female, and they ask you to perform certain exercises to make sure you're fit and ready to go. Not only that, but they examine you for tattoos, markings, piercings. Note to self, don't wear any piercings, please. If you have any tattoos that are derogatory towards anyone, you're not going to be allowed in. So just a heads up, but I doubt people who are joining should have that on their bodies. Not to mention as well, it's just a lot. When you arrive, it's way early. It's at the crack of dawn. I remember driving to Oklahoma City because it was 2 hours away. I didn't want to get a hotel, or did I get a hotel? It was so long ago, you guys. I think they made me probably get a hotel because if you live certain mileage away, they make you stay close so that way you can just open or get down there, and it's early. I remember driving my car, reporting in, and I was around everyone, and I was like, okay, this is cool. I kind of make friends. Like, I'm the type of person where I'm really shy, but in certain awkward situations, I tend to make friends very easily because I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awkward. Meps, they tell you, is an all-day process, and it is, and it varies from person to person. I think for me, again, because it's been about 3 years since I've gone, I think I spent probably anywhere from 4 to 6 hours there. The reason why mine I feel like was so short and quick too is because, and I know you guys are like 4 to 6 hours, that's short. Well, when you get there, everyone, I remember having a number, and it was my certain number, and I remember answering a questionnaire, and on the questionnaire, I'm not going to disclose the specific questions, but basically it asks you, for example, like, have you ever broken an arm? Have you ever murdered somebody? I mean, it's a long questionnaire that you have to answer in a room. You get it briefed by someone who's running it, and to be honest, I can't remember. I know we had some enlisted personnel running it, and then I know we had some, I can't remember. There's one, I think he was a civilian guy. He was super mean, and he was like yelling at the top of his lungs. So yes, they do yell there. I think they yell not to scare you, but to just be like, all right, let's get it going here. Get over here. Troop, get over here. So, and you're all mixed up. So it's not just Air Force. It's Air Force, Navy, Marine, Coast Guard, Army, everyone's mixed up because Meps is for every single Department of Defense branch. So you get there, they're making you do numbers, checking your nails, there's different stations, and I remember going to the different stations and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so early. And it's the hurry up and wait, the hurry up and wait. So what it means if you're not military, the hurry up and wait is like they want you to rush, 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 and then you sit there and you wait until they're ready. And they do that a lot. All throughout Meps, it was like the hurry up and wait. They take your blood. I remember they made me do 20 push-ups because my blood, I'm a really hard stick. I have very small veins. I've always been a hard stick. So I find it rather annoying to get my blood drawn just because I know I'm going to be there for a while. And what happens? 2 people tried to draw my blood, didn't work. So they're like, Luke, get over here, do 20 push-ups to get your blood drawn. I was like, yes, sir. So I started doing 20 push-ups and then they took my blood and I think that worked. You also get, like I mentioned earlier, physically exam. So you'll have a doctor, male or female, examine you. Usually they match you gender to gender, so male doctors with the males, female doctors with the females. You strip down to your skivvies, your underwear, you're examined. They take record of any birthmarks, any tattoos, any strange markings, scars, just in case you ever, God forbid, end up missing or you pass away, they can identify your body. So it kind of gets a little weird. Not only that, so you're doing the questionnaire, you're getting your physical. I remember going to this other room where I had to get, they like make you talk to a assignment person, and I can't remember why we had to talk to this person. And I'm so sorry, you guys are probably like, oh, Veronica, I should have filmed this a long time ago because it was fresh in my mind. So I'm just picking from memory. But really, when you go to Meps as an officer, there is no difference. You're just like everybody else. The only way that people knew, because I never told people my rank, the only way that people knew I was an officer, and I remember this vividly because I thought it was so weird, this guy called me and he goes, Luke, Lieutenant Luke, and everyone turned and looked at me and I was like, present. And he's like, you're an LT? No way you are. And I was like, yes, sir. And I think because I look so young, like you guys have to remember, a lot of people who come into the military as officers are a lot older. They're not, unless you go to the academy or, because I commissioned right out of college, but remember I had a year and a half where I was applying to be an MSC. So I had to wait that year and a half. So when I came in, I was 23. I graduated college at 21. But a lot of people, unless you come in like straight out of the academy or you get directly commissioned as a 21-year-old, most people who come in as officers are a lot older. They're like 30, which isn't old at all, but it's a little bit later in life. So, and they have a little bit more facial hair, they look a bit older. I look very young. I remember the guy being like, I can't believe you're a lieutenant. And then all of a sudden they like fast tracked me. So it was weird because as soon as they found out I was a lieutenant, I was like fast tracked and I got to skip lines. And I don't know if it's just because I feel like, and I don't think it's because of my rank because I was just a butter bar. I think because the reason they let me skip a bunch of lines is maybe the enlisted had a lot more to do. They also had to take their ASVAB there. I remember the ASVAB testing center being there. So the enlisted, after they got their physical examination, they went to the ASVAB classroom. At least the people who were with me had to go in there and take the test. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know, to be honest, about the enlisted process. But Meps as an officer should be pretty much a breeze. Basically, you get a physical. To recap, because I probably was all over the place, you get a physical, make sure you have clean nails, you answer a questionnaire, and the questionnaire is designed to separate the weak from the strong. And the questionnaire, the only thing I will say about this, because I'm not going to say the questions because I'm pretty sure I signed a NDA about not disclosing the Meps questions. I'm pretty sure, since every single test that I take on the Air Force is I have to sign an NDA. Basically, when you're taking the Meps questionnaire, which your recruiter should already be preparing you for the questionnaire, My recruiter, she did an okay job. I will give her this. She did prepare me for the Meps questionnaire. Whatever you answer in your Meps questionnaire, you should be answering when you get to the Meps Center. For some reason, some people think it's like different questions, and maybe it is. I don't know. Some people were like sitting there, scratching their heads, taking 2 hours to answer questions. I mean, some of the questions it's going to ask you is just about yourself, your health, criminal activity. Basically, I don't think it asks you any type of like crazy things like about how your personal views are, unless you're an extremist or something, but then you probably won't be wanting to join the military. So basically a questionnaire to weed out whether you belong in any of the Department of Defense military structures. I have seen it and I saw it there. If you answer a question that is not accurate, that is not correct, that is not what the military stands for, Department of Defense, you will not be allowed in based upon this questionnaire. So I do want to reiterate to you, because a lot of people, I think I brushed over it in the beginning, and I don't think you guys understand the severity of it. A lot of people try and play the game and falsify things on the Meps questionnaire. Do not do that. Do not do that, because when you do that, you will get, I can't remember the exact name of the law. Gosh, I just discussed it last week at the clinic. Because then your case will come to me. Well, it won't come to me. Your case will go to someone who runs basically the medical board to see if you should be in, because they'll find something that is a disqualifier. If you lie about it, they can find it. Basically, do not lie about your Meps questionnaire paperwork. That is a long questionnaire, and yes, if you have something that's a disqualifier, they will not allow you in, and they will not allow you in pretty much all the branches, because it's one team, one fight. I have seen people lie, and then they are kicked out with a dishonorable discharge and or perjury, and then felony for falsifying documents and all this other stuff. So please don't do that. If you're thinking about it, please talk to your recruiter and tell them, be real with me. I have this condition, will I qualify? If you have a good recruiter, they should be able to catch that stuff right away. If you have a good recruiter, they're going to make you fill out the same paperwork, because the government's not going to waste their time, offer you a position, and then have you come to the Meps Center. I literally filled out the exact same questionnaire, turned in my giant packet to be an MSC, and then they offered me a position, and then I had to go to Meps. So they're not going to waste money on you if you don't qualify. So just be honest and be upfront. I'll share an example of myself so that way you guys aren't scared. I was honestly scared to tell them about my scope. I was a cheerleader for about 15 years and I did it all. Tumbled, stunted, did crazy things, and then I also danced. I'm double jointed, and I think the only reason why I had to get a scope is because I was just having a little bit of pain in my left knee constantly, like sharpshooting pain. And I think it's because I locked out my legs, and I still do that to this day. It's not good. Don't do it. Anyways, being flexible has its sacrifices, and I sacrificed my knee to make sure I was the most flexible person on my teams, or at least competing with the Flyers. In hindsight, I shouldn't have done that. Long story long, I basically got a scope on my knee. When my surgeon went into my knee, he said he honestly didn't find anything. He just cleaned out a little bit of gunk and that was it. So basically he told me my knee was fine, exactly perfect, no issues. Because you know when people get scoped, sometimes you have to go in and they see tears, they see all this stuff. So glory to God that my knee is actually perfectly fine. He just cleaned out some stuff. Whatever he did, I haven't had pain in that knee since. If you look on the Meps paperwork, having knee surgery can be a disqualifier. And I was nervous, and I remember talking to my dad like, oh my gosh, I don't want to put this on here. And then I was like, crap. Because I had my scope, I have 4 perfect little scars like this big. When you get examined, they're going to look at every single inch and crevice of your body. So it is awkward. You will have a one-on-one. Will they actually look, ladies, take a quick look inside of you? Yes, I mean down there. And fellas, I'm not sure what goes on over there, but I'm assuming they make you cough or whatever you guys do. Basically, they look at every single thing. So if they saw 4 perfect scars, you can tell I had surgery. You can't hide that. So I was like, I'm gonna have to tell them. Well, I'm glad it worked out and I was honest, and I was like, you know what, if they don't accept me, that's stupid, because I never had any issues. I remember going to my surgeon, and it was like a year later, because obviously I'm submitting my application, and my surgeon who did my knee turned out to be the chief surgeon of the Air Force, retired. So he just retired from that job. He wrote me a glowing letter about how if they didn't accept me, they'd be stupid and there's no issues with my knee. Long story short, as you can see, I got accepted. Now that type of stuff is God's favor, clearly, but what I want to let you guys know is please do not lie on that form. I know it can be tempting. I was even tempted because I was scared and I wanted this so bad, but not bad enough to have a felony or perjury, which I didn't even realize the magnifications of really like leaving stuff out. I wasn't lying, but I was leaving it out, and how scary that is. Even my sickness, my Lemierre's syndrome, which is a deadly, I want to say bacterial, a deadly bacterial infection that can kill people, and it's very rare. And I contracted it my senior year of college. I didn't lie about that. I put that on there, and then a year later, working in my job, they opened my file and they're like, oh my gosh, this happened to you? I've never met a person who survived this. The type of blood clot that I had, which is gone now. But again, I'm not coded or anything because everything's okay. It was a one-off. I'm fine. If you have persistent medical issues, you need to be honest with your recruiter, because this may not be the correct position for you. And that doesn't mean that you're a failure. But basically, when it comes to Meps, make sure you're being honest on that questionnaire. If you've killed someone or done some criminal activity, I mean, come on, you guys, you're probably not going to get in. But you have to be honest, because again, they will pull your medical records. It may not be right there, because obviously they're not going to have your medical record in their hand. They're going to pull it after a few months, and that's how they rechecked everything that I had too. They're going to pull your criminal records, and anything that pops up that you're like, oh, I just got a DUI yesterday, you need to be honest, because as soon as it pops up, they can see the date when it happened, and then you're in a lot of trouble, and then it just all goes downhill, and I've seen it so many times. So I can't stress the importance of being honest on your Meps paperwork. I know I spent a lot of time on that, but I just want to really iterate that. The only thing that I also forgot, after you do your questionnaire and you get your physical exam, they do an eye exam, so there shouldn't be any issues. But if you are blind, I know they have some type of like waivers for blindness, so just triple check on that. I think color blindness, I think, is acceptable, but not complete blindness. So just beware. Any medical conditions, that's the biggest thing about Meps, I can't stress. They're there to figure out, can you, if worse comes to worse, we go to war, can you suit up and ship out? If you have any type of medical issues that are persistent, even just constant migraines, or where you're throwing up or acting, I don't know, passing out, you're probably not going to be able to stay in. However, there are cases where I even work with people who have underlying medical conditions, but now they're coded where they don't deploy, but they can stay and work in their job because, you know, they're able to still do moderate things that are asked of them. So it's not like it's a lose-lose, but entering into the military with a persisting condition is not in your favor. After you're in, that's when they'll help you, code you, after you've contracted something. But if you're trying to get in and you have, I don't know, craziness, I don't know, you can't get in. And I know a lot of people are like, well, what about asthma? Again, check with your recruiter. I'm not a doctor. Last update I heard was basically there's very little chance that some people with asthma will get in. So it just varies on what your certain specific condition is. Again, check with your recruiter. check with your doctor, make sure if anything, if I can give you guys a recommendation, if you do have something like my knee surgery or something, get a letter from the surgeon that says, you're awesome, you're good to go, I only found this, there's nothing, here's all her scans. I turned in all my scans, my whole file, all my paperwork to them. And they were like, oh, you just had a scope? And I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, next. They didn't even stress on it. I never heard about it again. The only thing they asked me about was my Lemires, and then I got called in because they're like, oh my gosh, I've never met someone who's had that. I'm like, hi. I'm like, it's a miracle. I'm like, yeah, it is a miracle, I'm alive. So that's basically Meps in a nutshell. It's just basically you go there, you get a physical, you answer a questionnaire, and then you're done. Once you're done and you pass it, I mean, I never heard anything like, oh, you passed Meps. My recruiter was just like, okay, next step, here's your report date. And that's when I shipped out to officer training school. But other people, I don't know if they got phone call. I know some people were called into different rooms and I never saw them again, which I'm just guessing, because some people didn't leave the questionnaire room. Like, I never saw them anywhere else. I'm guessing they left, or they realized that they had something down, marked down, that they shouldn't have had, and it disqualified them. So that is a real thing. It's for our protection as a country and not to deter you from working, but you need people who are fit to fight. You know what I mean? So hopefully that answers your questions about Meps. I'm going to go ahead and do another Q&A video about anything military officer related. So if you guys don't mind, leave your questions, comments down below. Also DM me. I'm going to be filming a lot more military videos, and it is so nice to be back sitting down in my bedroom just filming what I love to do, which is military and makeup videos. So thank you guys so much. Hopefully you guys checked out all my vlogs from Vlogmas and my wedding vlog. Stay tuned for my actual wedding video. My photographer is still working on that, and videographer. So as soon as he gives it to me, I'm going to upload it to YouTube, because so far I watched a rough draft and I love it. So I'm just waiting to see what the final product looks like. Anyways, hopefully this wasn't all over the place. I'm sorry guys. 3 years ago, Meps. If you have any more questions, again, comment them down below, because I'm going to be doing a Q&A again. And also, I'm going to do a military Q&A for Lewis. So ask your questions. Ask how, he feels about me being in the military, what it's like to be a military spouse. Ask those questions, and hopefully we can get a really good Q&A for you guys. All right, hopefully you had a very Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I'll check with you guys a little bit later. Bye.